Power BI is a Microsoft reporting tool that we have begun using to replace the reports that used to live in SharePoint. With Power BI, you will be able to slice and dice your data in a way that will allow you to answer questions as they may present themselves. Before we get into how the reports are set up, let's talk briefly about how you will access Power BI. Every field supervisor will get an email like this with a link to take them to their individual Power BI report. All that you have to do is click the link. The first time that you click the link and are directed to your report, it is a good idea to bookmark it or favorite the web address like this, so that in the future you can just open your browser and you don't have to worry about trying to find the email with the link again. Also, just a note on browsers, while Power BI will work with any browser such as Internet Explorer or Firefox, it is best supported if you use Google Chrome. Now let's take a look at the report itself and how you can use filters to answer specific questions that you may have about the data. So as you can see on this Power BI report, I'm using the Boiler North team as my example. At the bottom of the screen there are multiple pages which are all part of this report. Let's start with the page that we are on, the Boiler North page. Now as a side note, you will only be able to see data on your particular team's page. So for example, the Boiler North Field Supervisor will not be able to see any data on the Boiler East page called BE. And if you are a Field Supervisor on John Paget's team, please note that you will use the summary page shown here and will not see separate pages for each individual team. Instead, the summary page will show only your specific team's data. The tile in the upper right-hand corner measures which techs have sold bars and in which month they did so. So, for example, it looks like Kyle Gentry has sold 5 bars so far this year, with 1 in January, 2 in February, and so on. The 4 colored tiles at the bottom are unique in that they have each team's goal listed below. Each of these charts are colored based on how well you did against the goal. The logic here is that if you reach or exceed your goal for the month, the data will be colored green. If you miss your goal but get within 90% of it, it will be yellow. And if you are below 90% of the goal, the data will be red. Taking a look at the controllable applied time tile, we can see that so far this year, in every month except for March, Boiler North team has exceeded their goal. And because March was within 90% of the goal, it is in yellow. The final tile on this page, Team Profitability, measures each team's profitability by month. Now let's go take a look at the Tech Summarized page. The Tech Summarized page shows all of the metrics that we saw on the previous page, but by tech. It also gives you the ability to filter or group the data by month and employee. So let's take a look at a sample analysis. If you remember, on the last page, we noted that March was the only month that the Boiler North team did not exceed their goal for controllable applied time. Let's dig into that a little bit. To start, I'm going to filter this page for March, like this. So now, if I take a look at the controllable applied time tile, I can see that the reason for the drop in controllable applied time was because of Tyler Haynes' percentage. Next, let's see what their percentage is for March without Tyler. I can do that by filtering the page for everyone but Tyler like this. So it looks like they would have been well above their goal with 94%. Now let's take a look into why Tyler had such a low percentage. There are 2 pages in this report that show transactional level data, and those pages are Tech Detail and Tech Time Analysis. If you are wanting to find information about a tech's time entries, which is what we would need to do to investigate Tyler's controllable applied time, then you would go to Tech Time Analysis. But if you are wanting to find out which service number a tech did not submit an XOI video on, or which contract they are not compliant on, you would want to go to Tech Detail. Basically, if you want details on time entries, go to Tech Time Analysis, and for everything else, go to Tech Detail. So since we want to look into controllable applied time, let's click on Tech Time Analysis. So looking at the Tech Time Analysis page, the first thing that I noticed is that because we had filtered out Tyler on the Tech Summarize page, our filters transferred over to this page. Let's change our filter to show only Tyler's time, like this. And we can leave the March filter on from the previous page since that is the month we are doing our analysis on. Let's go over the tiles that we have on this page. First, we can see the controllable applied time tile in the top corner that shows the same 38% that we saw for Tyler on the text summarize page. Next, we see a breakout of his hours by description. The tile to the right categorizes his time by PM, service, or unsold work. Next, we see a breakout of his time by overtime versus regular time. And as a note, REG-CC stands for regular time for a contract customer, while REG-NC is regular time for a non-contract customer. The last tile in this row shows his time by controllable versus non-controllable time. Basically, controllable time is any time that is unsold and is not paid time off. So obviously you want to minimize controllable time. We can see why Tyler's controllable applied time percentage was so low in March, since 62% of his time is considered controllable. Let's dig into his controllable time to see what it is made up of. To do this, I simply click on the controllable piece of the donut like this. Now this whole page is filtered for only his hours that are controllable. Looking across at some of the other tiles, it looks like the majority of Tyler's time in March was spent in training, which I'm sure as field supervisors you do not need to look at a report to know, but hopefully this serves as an example for how to use this tool. Next, let's say that we are interested in seeing what kind of training Tyler did besides on-the-job training. To do this, I can hold the control key down and select training in the other tile like this. Holding the control key keeps any filters that you have already applied, which in our case was for controllable hours. Thankfully, Tyler listed specific descriptions and we can tell that he spent 5 hours on Clearview and XOI training, 8 on driving, and 5 on safety. It is important to note that if Tyler would have simply typed in training when submitting his time, that would be all that you see here. So as you dive into the data, you may want to start asking your text to list specific descriptions. To clear the filters and start over, I simply click any empty space in any of the tiles and the visuals will reset. Hopefully this short tutorial gives you a solid foundation for understanding what Power BI is and how you can use it. We will be going over more features and details in the upcoming Field Supervisor meeting, so please make a note of any questions that you may have that were not answered by this video, and I'll be happy to discuss them with you then.